Thank you for having me and for inviting me to participate in this very important seminar. I was appointed to the Swinburne Council in October 2014. At that stage, a vacancy had arisen as a result of Mr. Graham Goldsmith, who at the time was a member of council. He was stepping up to become the chancellor. And so he asked me to take his place. Part of the reason he had done that was that I had already been deeply engaged with Swinburne at that stage for a number of years. I was on the International Advisory Board of Swinburne in 2000, in fact, while I was still working and based in Vietnam. And I served on that board for a number of years. I had also, while serving as the Australian Senior Trade Commissioner in Hanoi, I had helped Swinburne in various capacities. Swinburne has a set selection criteria, and I obviously fulfilled that criteria. But in addition, it's very important that when a vacancy arises at council, that council looks at whether there is a balance in terms of gender diversity, ethnic diversity, and the skills metrics that exist at the time. And so I had corporate experience. I had already served on several boards at the time. I had banking and finance background, which is important on council, given that we are dealing with a very complex institution with a very large budget to manage. So I guess I had all of the required credentials.
Did you receive an induction to council and your role on council?
Oh, yes. Council has a set induction process, and in fact, new members are handed with a pretty comprehensive set of induction materials that tells you all about the university, the statutes, the organization structure, the role of council, etc. But I think induction is not just about, handing you a big manual and say, go away and read it. A much more important aspect of the induction process, at least in my experience, is to have various meetings with the chancellor, the vice chancellor, and all members of the senior executive team. And that gives you a better insight. Yes, you can go, you understand the university. Most council members would have had wide experience, commercial, financial, board experience, general management, but to have the discussions with the chancellor in particular, he's your leader, and it's very important that you have a rapport with him. Similarly, the vice chancellor is also important in terms of having that one-on-one meeting to develop a better understanding of her role, of her personality, and that then generates trust. Because, when you're a council member, you are constantly bombarded, right, with very, very complex materials on the basis of which you then have to make a decision on. And so talking and getting to know the vice chancellor as part of your induction process is very important. Similarly, talking to members of the senior executive team, really understanding their own personal challenges in handling their job and understanding more of the day-to-day operations, because at council level, you will not be involved in the day-to-day operations of the university.
Can you tell us, how long have you been on the University Council for RMIT University?
About 7 years.
Wow. And how long are the terms of appointment for council members?
3-year terms usually.
All
so
right.
I've been reappointed once, and I've been reappointed twice, actually. So, yeah.
What are the provisions for extension of tenure?
So, depending in what category you sit, there's a general view that you shouldn't be on the council more than 9 years. So, in some universities, they may say you cannot be there more than 9 years. In some, you look to see a turnover, and you look to see refreshing of the council, so that you say, basically, we don't expect you to be there more than 9 years. There are 13 members of council, and they fall into a number of separate categories. So there are what are called the official positions, say the Chancellor, who's the chair of the council, and he is a non-executive person, so he's not an employee of the university. There's the Vice-Chancellor, who's the Vice-Chancellor and President, who's the person who runs the university. And there's the chair of the academic board, which is the senior academic governance body of the university. So they're the 3 official positions. And then there are 2 groups of appointed people. There's 4 people appointed by the government. So the government gets to appoint 4 people to the University Council. And when I first went on council, I was one of the government appointees. And there are 4 people appointed by council themselves. And I'm now one of those 4 people appointed by council. And there are 2 people who are elected, one elected by students and one elected by staff. So there's 13 people altogether.